hooked up this bulb, which as you can see is currently glowing. It's in series with the electrical system. So one end of the bulb is connected to the leads on the negative terminal of the battery, and the other one is to the cable. So there's something drawing power. I'm going to go underneath the dash and start removing fuses to see which circuit the power draws on. The light is currently on. As soon as I remove this wire, which I don't remember what it's to, we can see that the light is off. So that is my current drain. Now we'll figure out what it goes to. So the culprit was the radio. Radio that, as far as I could tell, didn't work. I turned the radio on and the light is on. I turned the radio off and there's no power draw. So I'm going to switch that lead to a switched circuit instead of a always on circuit, and we got a problem solved very quickly. I like that. So I thought there was a circuit for the radio, and you can see on either side of here, radio, and it is now connected into the outer end. I have no idea if the radio works. It draws power, but no sound comes out. I don't think any speakers are plugged in. So anyway, no more power drain. We can hook the battery up and keep it hooked up. So the stock wagon battery is a lot like forward controls. It's a very long, skinny battery. Well, I harvested this for another car a while back, tiny Toyota. It's been enough to start this. So I am going to reinstall the battery holding plate and such. It has studs poking out the bottom that go through holes, and it uses those nuts and washers from underneath to hold the plate in. And then after it's in, I'll be able to find some plate to go across the top to use these two threaded rods here to be able to hold the battery in place. Tiny battery in place. There's this brace. I don't know if I'm going to bother. I don't know if you can see. It goes, there's a hole through there into the, and it could be a ground. I don't know. Anyway, I've got what I need. I'm going to reroute the battery cables up there, terminate them, and then screw the cover onto it. Battery compartment closed off. Some more screws put in there. 2 of those large stainless or plated screws. 2 there. So I'm still missing a goodly number of them. These 4 across the back would be nice to have just to give a good seal on the engine lid. And then I'm missing 1 up there, 2, 3, and 4. And so I'm going to try to get 8 of those when I'm up at the Corvair Ranch Monday. So let's move on to adjusting the TV cable. So when I first connected up all the linkages, there is one that is the throttle rod into a pivot on the transmission, and that's the throttle valve. And what it's supposed to do is it adjusts the point at which the transmission shifts based upon the position of the throttle. So if your foot is really into it, accelerating, it will hold off on shifting for a while and let the RPMs build up before shifting. There is some instructions in how to do that, and I didn't follow those. I just connected it whatever seemed to be where it needed to be. So it talks about this throttle valve linkage is necessary to provide the correct shift schedule. See section 9 for the adjustment procedure. and I think it's because it's attached to the throttle. Do you guys see it? That's carburation, fuel and exhaust. Let me see what I can find. Control linkage adjustments 9.3. Disconnect swivel, accelerator rod, position pedal. 1 inch from the floor. Placing a block of wood. Alright, let me follow these directions in order to properly set, and I'll show you what I'm talking about with. There. Okay, so right underneath there it is a swivel. It talks about positioning the pedal. So let me figure out what I'm doing and I'll bring you back when I know. Alright, so what they're trying to do is, so when the throttle on the carburetors is wide open, you have also reached the limit of travel of the rod coming. So these two were separated. I've pulled that as hard as I can and gotten it to line up with the hole in the throttle shaft when it's in position. So we should be good to go now. Hopefully the transmission will shift right. Clean seats, clean vinyl on the seats at least. Did some scrubbing, got rid of some years of grungy. Seeing how that is, and how that is, and so forth. Oh, on the other side would be helpful. That's where the clip goes. Thank you. I was at the ranch yesterday and bought 4 sets of seat belts, 3 of which are in this aqua and 1 is in this gold, and actually, yeah, that gold. So I've got most of them cleaned and functioning. This one, when I got it, it was with the belt all the way extended, and the bar, rod, whatever inside here was so rusty that I could not get this to move at all. So it took a lot of working, a lot of finagling. The kind of pushed open this area here as best I could and got in there with a screwdriver and tried to scrape off any of the loose rust and so forth. And then at the same time, I went and looked. I couldn't find any videos on how to disassemble this specific seat belt. So what I ended up doing is, with a screwdriver in this section here, prying that as far apart as I could. And then, when it was apart, I could get a screwdriver into that little opening that you can see there. I really can't do it well with one-handed. But again, if you push this as far out as it goes, it opens up that little crack. Then with a tinier flat-bladed screw, I was able to continue to work that. When I opened it up more, then again it was back with the prying with this. And finally, here, let me separate it and I'll bring you back. So you have to pop it off of like a little sheet metal clip right in there. So you do have to put some pretty good force on it. Maybe at the same time kind of slide something underneath here. Okay, once you're clear of that catch, then you can just keep pushing it and out it comes. And if you want to take it apart even farther, just shove that end through there. and you can get access to all the sides of this bar. That when you have tension on it, it locks the belt. So now that I clean that up, I can put it back together same way. Shove the belt through the opening. Okay, with the belt through the opening, just keep taking up the tension. And then this re-engages. Clamp it together with your fingers, and it's good. And I mentioned the seat belts here that I got. Unfortunately, couldn't get all that matched, nor could I get blue, but these are a nice color. I don't know how they're going to go with the rest of the interior, but they'll be functional. That's the key, functionality. So, also carpeting for, that's a nice smell, new carpet. Here are the retractors for the seat belts. Also more of these screws that go in the rear panel. This is the fuel door stop that I'll screw in here, then put the fuel door in, and finally we have a throttle return spring. So these four are longer. That one is longer, and that one's longer. So, but those are shorter in the back. So I can use the shorter Phillips head for all of those positions, but I need a longer slotted screw. So I'll need 3 more. I found out from a guy who I met yesterday that California Corvair Parts sells those screws. So I found the right screws to hold fuel door stop in. I installed the fuel door. Was not thrilled with how close one end was into here. You see how it's rubbing the paint off. So I've taped a couple of washers. Taped a couple of washers to the back side. Hopefully they'll stay in enough for me to start the screws and hold everything in place. So in order to get to that Phillips head screw, when this is in the way, you can't get at it even with a stubby. Angle's not right. So we'll fight at it with this guy. That'll have to do. Seems like it misses, just barely. That'll take some getting used to. Okay, 2 of everything. So I may have mentioned before that this car was originally silver with a blue interior. Previous owner got a car with this same exterior paint scheme, the same color interior, and kind of just kept everything. So here are 2 strips that fit up above the windshield. Those 2 strips fit the base of the windshield. I'm missing one of the armrests. I'll keep looking through my boxes. I don't even know what these are. So I did figure out that these long strips here and here are the same, obviously, as these, and that's where they go. These were the less nice ones. I'm missing one of these. It goes right at the top there between the windlass. So I'm going to now clean and install the last of this windlass. I think this is what it's called. That goes to cover up the pinch welds in the door openings. I already have the leading edge of both doors going up, and then that one on top, and the same thing on this side. So now I just need to figure out where the rest of these go. These are all approximately the same size. This is a little bit shorter, and then these two are shorter still. So we'll do a little testing. I found the 3 on this side that I still needed to clean and put in, and the same 3 over there. So it's time to clean them. I've been unburying other interior trim pieces. I've got 2 of these. That one looks brand new, but don't have the matching one for the other side, so I'll clean that one. These go on the heater outlets by the driver and passenger feet. And that was a spare, probably the original one out of here. So I don't know what these are. And I've yet to see what's included in the carpet kit. We're missing something here. And I've got it. The way it goes in is there is a screw that goes through the rear hole into a nut inside the door panel. But the other issue is that is a through screw, and maybe I can use a nut on it as well, because that hole's pretty big. So we'll see what hardware we can find to fix that. Alright, that was a challenge. So let's see if I can stick my arm in here and touch so you can get a feel. That's how far I had to go. So I held the nut and tightened up the screw on the outside. This other one is just kind of as snug as I can get it with 2 fingers. It's more towards, I would say it's captured anyway. All right, so we now have side view mirror. Okay, now we can put the plastic. Yeah, let's do the seat belts. Got the seat belts. Got all the hardware here. So it's time to get the drill out, and probably have to climb underneath to get the middle ones. We'll see. Thanks to the Corvair Center Forum, I have this diagram which indicates where to drill the holes for the seat belts for a bench front seat in an early model. So I will follow this and get these first ones in. These darn old cars. So what you're not seeing is a slit where the seat belt, this one on the end is fine. It'll go around the end of the bench. But there is nothing, no slit, no nothing. So I'm going to have to put a slit in, and I hate doing that. But gotta have seat belts. Nope, not thrilled, but it's done. We'll put a side seat belt in here now and move on. Front seat belts are in. So now we move to the rear seat belts. Pop the rear seat bottom out. Now we need to get some measurements. Now, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it, but I've heard about there being dimples where the holes needed to be drilled, and there is just a dimple there, and there was a dimple pretty much where that one was. So and there's a dimple over there, so we'll go with that. Just to be safe with the step drill, I only drilled through the first step, and now I'm going to go underneath and see if that dimple was in a good place or not. I don't know what you can see, but I'm going to have to hold that one wire down. I've got a zip tie. I'm going to try to zip tie it to that clip Again, I don't know what you can see out of that, but we will try to hold that cable out of the way. I drilled the first step at the dimple, then I went on around to the other side, and there's nothing in the way. So I'll go ahead and drill this one out. So there's all the 4 rear ones in. Now the only issue I got to deal with here is that because these kind of flip the other direction, and the way everything is, they're in upside down. So they'll have to twist. I'll have to twist as part of this shenanigans. Next thing is get the seat back in, clean where I've messed. So before I can put the door panels on, I have to put on some plastic weather door covering on the inside, but I also need to see whether or not I need to have access on the inside of the door. But I'm just going to go with using, let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clips there. And I went ahead and installed the nicest of the belt line trim here. I always have the option of pulling it back off again and cleaning it, straightening it, polishing it, whatever, but I just want to get the car on the road looking halfway decent. So this is on there pretty nicely, so I'll continue on. So once I decide which one of these I'm going to install, it's going to be this one here. Gosh, so bad. I can't let these go. I need to do a little work to try to get these dings out. This one was pretty ding free. Yeah, I'll move to a front door. So I've got 4 to choose from. Any of these look halfway, no, this one looks halfway decent. Let's install this one on this side here. All right, these are the clips, and they go in here and then slide. So, you know, there's a cutout to allow that, and then they slide. If I had 2 hands, I could make it slide. There we go. And then that's captured, and you just slide them into position. So I'll get the ones I need. So it appears to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So because it's a long ways from that clip to that hole, and that hole gets a nut with a stud, and that's what the stud looks like. But I'll also need studs, and maybe not there, and not there. So it appears that I can get away with 2 studs at those ends of the door. So I've got one here. I guess that's one there. I don't even know. Haven't figured out where this goes yet. Anyway, I got one here that I can use. So some of the belt line trim is on. I've decided to quit for the evening. Included here is the trim goes on the trunk lid. It's, instead of with clips, it's installed with screws that come up from behind. There's one here. Unfortunately, this strip had all of its nuts in it. There. And that's centered now. Yeah, it's a little ding there, but that's okay. So I started putting this side one on, but unfortunately there is, let's see, yeah, it's just getting late and I got to dig those little crispy ones out of there. All the belt line molding is on except for this piece, which is going on the new fender. Just in case I hadn't previously explained it, this is a replacement fender, and the reason I know that is that it's missing all of the holes that are necessary for the belt line trim. So that's why this one presents its own special problem. And we're going to give this a try. We'll pick, I guess we're going to go with this one here. We'll maybe get out some of the little dings. Cleaned off the crease on the pinch weld. I've cleaned, wire brushed, and then cleaned the inside of the chrome strip. And I've also test fit it. So I've got the silicone and masking tape. See how this goes. So we put goops on. Not one continuous bead. I heard somewhere that big goops are better than a continuous bead, so that's what I did.